Well, welcome everyone, and thank you to everyone that has been sharing information in the chat. Please continue to do so, and we're going to move on. So if you are wanting, if your plan was to participate in this webinar, make a plan, build a kit, prepare your family for disaster, you are in the right spot. So thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sara Croymans, and my picture is on the lower left-hand side, and I'm an extension educator located out of our Morris regional office. And with me today is Lori Hendrickson, also one of our family development educators in the bottom middle, and then Carrie Olson, who is one of our youth development educators. Also with us today is Camden Larson. And Camden, I'm going to have you go ahead, unmute yourself and do a little introduction about yourself.
My name's Camden Larson. I'm across the river where I live over here in North Dakota. I work with the FEMA National Preparedness Division out of Region 8, which is based in Colorado, and I'm just super excited to be here tonight.
And we're so pleased to have you, Camden. You also see on the upper right-hand side of the slide, their corner of the slide is Ryan Ciminski, and he is Camden's counterpart, but here in Minnesota with the FEMA Youth Preparedness Council in Region 5. And Ryan has helped us develop the presentation today and several pieces of that, and he may be jumping on to join us as well. So that's our team today. So I am going to bring up a poll. I'll launch that. And if you can take a moment and share, why are you participating today? For personal use, for professional use, or for both personal and professional use? We'll let folks respond there for just a minute. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. So we have the majority of folks, 70% of you are participating today for personal use. So that's wonderful. But about 30% of you are participating for both personal and professional use. So that's good to know. And we know typically those boundaries can be kind of blurry at times between personal and professional use, and we can use the information in both areas. So thank you everyone who responded to that poll. So our first activity today is going to be a Kahoot, but let's look at I skipped over this slide. So today we are going to learn how to prepare for a disaster by creating an emergency kit. And we're going to look at how to prepare for a disaster by making a family plan. And then we're going to talk about how to share that content with others. And so we're going to move to the Kahoot activity. And Camden is going to lead us on this. And wonderful. Look at that. I so admire technology skills. I'm going to mute myself, Camden, and I'm going to let you take over here.
Okay, so for those of you who have a separate device, you can go ahead and join the game by visiting on a computer kahoot.it or visiting the Kahoot app should you have that installed on your phone. Otherwise, feel free just to follow along on the screen and select your answer choice as we go along, and we'll be talking about each answer after we're finished with the question. We'll
explain just a little bit more, the Kahoot.it or the Kahoot app. Can you walk us through that?
Yep. So Kahoot is a platform that is more of a gamified version of like the poll that you saw earlier tonight. This website just allows you to view a question on my screen, select an answer to it, and you can kind of collect points and level up in the game, so to speak, as we're learning about different disaster preparedness actions. We'll give everyone just another minute or two to hop into the Kahoot game, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
And so again, they can do it at kahoot.it or through the app on their smartphone.
Correct. And you'll need this code that's sitting right up here, 5627710. Yep. And as Carrie pointed out, it's going to randomly assign you a name as you come in. So that's why we've got some fun names happening. We'll wait just another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with the game. A question is going to appear on the screen with some answer choices appearing with a specific color and shape. You will then select your answer choice on your screen, which is all you'll see in the app or on the website. And once everyone's answered, it'll go back to the question and show us the correct answer. So we'll go ahead and get started. So what percentage of Americans do not have a designated meeting place when disaster strikes? Okay, so it looks like the majority of us got the question correct. Recent polling data has suggested that 63% of Americans do not have a designated meetup place for when disaster strikes. And then this is going to be our leaderboard. You're given points for both answering the question correctly as well as the time it takes to answer the question. Move on to question 2. What is the percentage of cell phone users who do not know their immediate family's phone numbers? Again, it looks like the majority of us got it correct. 48% of cell phone users do not know their immediate family's phone numbers, which is definitely going to be something that's important in an emergency, especially if you have to utilize a phone that is not your personal phone. Question 3, how many Americans live near a volcano? So 770,000 Americans live near volcanoes, which is going to impact what we're looking at preparing for. So in the Minnesota area, for example, we don't live near volcanoes. So we're looking at disasters more related to our local area, the biggest being straight line winds just in numbers over the past few years. Moving on to question 4. Clever Dingo taking the lead on the leaderboard. True or false? Batteries last 10 times longer in LED flashlights. The correct answer is true. LED flashlights are more efficient than standard light bulb based flashlights. And so the batteries are going to last for a significantly longer time frame. Over one half the victims of both Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Sandy were senior citizens over the age of 65. True. And one reason that we included this statistic today is just kind of when we're thinking about preparing as a family, we want to make sure that we're preparing for everyone in the family as well. And so making sure that, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, aunt, uncles, and everyone in between is included in your family emergency plan. How long should the food and water in your evacuation kit be able to sustain your family for? Current recommendations suggest 3 days. However, the new federal recommendations also suggest that you should maintain at least 1 month's full of non-perishable food supply and water at your place of living. Next question, how much water does each person need per day? The current recommendation is 2 gallons per day. Something else to consider is not only does each person need this, but each pet needs this as well. Making sure we're including pets in our families while we're preparing for emergencies. What other individual needs should you consider when packing your emergency kit? Awesome. It looks like we were all able to get an answer choice here, and all of the above is going to be the correct answer. Again, we want to be thinking about what individuals and members of our families might need additional items to be included in our emergency kits and make sure that we have those in there as well. The next one's true or false. Store-bought food such as canned food only has a 6-month shelf life. So as a general guideline, this is true. We don't want to be including cans that do not have dates on them past that 6-month window. And we do want to be refurbishing those emergency kits. However, many cans will last longer. You just want to make sure that you're reading the expiration date on the bottom of those. Just keeping bottled water at home is enough. False. That's a great recommendation. Making sure that we have a designated emergency supply of water, and also for sheltering in place and conditions are safe, filling other containers we may have as well before disasters strike. True or false? As recently as 30 years ago, many people believed that animals knew how to take care of themselves in a disaster. True. Our mindset on pet preparedness is shifting a lot, and we're really working hard to making sure that they're included in our family emergency plans. When is National Preparedness Month? National Preparedness Month is in September every year. FEMA also sponsors National Financial Capability Month, which is happening next month in April. And last question, which federal agency is responsible for preparing America for emergencies and disasters? FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency, does take the lead on preparing Americans before, during, and after disasters. Let's look at the final scores. In third place is Friendly Glider. Second place is Royal Possum. And in first place is Clever Dingo. Congratulations. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll get back to the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Camden. I am going to share my screen again here. And so all of those questions helped us think a little bit about developing a plan. And I wanted to cover just a few more thoughts when we're thinking about developing that plan. So when emergencies strike, public officials, public safety officials, let us know about that in a variety of ways. Using your chat, can you, if you are familiar with how they let us know about that, go ahead and put that in there. What is that warning alert system called? Does anybody know what that is called? And I need to find my chat here. Here we go. If I get myself organized. NPR, so Minnesota Public Radio, yep, they let us know. MSN, you can find out definitely about weather as well. But a few spots that we should be tuning into or locating are the wireless emergency alert, the emergency alert system or EAS, and then the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration weather radio, all hazards, or NWR, is another spot where they let us know. Yes, and the radio, the TV, the sirens, right? So they let us know. And so paying attention to that is really important. So having a plan about where to shelter for various disasters is super important, right, as we develop our family plans. And so if there were a tornado or a severe weather event, where would you shelter with your family? Go ahead and put that in the chat. And at the beginning, we had some folks sharing about tornado alerts and hailstorms and stuff. So where would be a good place to shelter? All right, so the basement bathroom, a crawl space, definitely. Basement behind a wall, away from windows, unfinished portion of the basement, southwest corner, right? A safe room. And we're pretty fortunate up here in the Midwest that most of our homes, many of our homes have basements. Hi, Peterson family. Yes, the basement. Although there are some construction or some homes that are built on slabs. And so then I saw many people were talking about rooms without windows, interior rooms, oftentimes bathrooms as well. Our daughter and her family live in Arkansas right now. And she called the other night and said, we're in a tornado. I think it was a watch, not a warning. And their house is built on a slab, so no basements in Arkansas. And so we talked a little bit about that. So yes, the rooms with no windows, maybe putting the kids in the bathroom or in the bathtub with a few blankets might be a good thing. Excellent. Creating a family communication plan is important, right? And the term itself, communication, means that we need to be talking with one another. And one of Camden's poll questions, or one of his Kahoot questions, asked about phone numbers, right? And so it's really important for us to be able to memorize some of those phone numbers. I think, I know I get really lazy. It's programmed into my smartphone, and I don't know if I can recite everyone's phone numbers in my immediate family. And so we really need to be thinking about that. But in addition to knowing those phone numbers, I encourage families to play the what if game. What if we have a tornado? What if I'm at school and you're at work? What do we do? What if we have a flood? What if, and you fill in the blank based on your community and your area and what hazards you might expect. And so I challenge all of you families that are participating tonight to have conversations. What if this, what if that? And use time at the dinner table, or use time as you're commuting or driving to work or school to have those conversations. All right, we are going to move on to the section of our presentation where we're thinking about putting the kits together. And I'm going to call on Camden again because he does such a great job with this. Camden.
I'm just looking to find the presentation where it's shared on my screen.
Okay. Am I sharing my screen right now?
It looks like you are. I just have to find it.
Perfect. Okay.
So we've got a really cool opportunity tonight. I have some friends who need help preparing, and it just so happens that they live on a pirate ship. And so we are going to help them get prepared using some items that we might have around our house and dwellings and other places that we should have with us in case of an emergency. So the fun part is, just like any good treasure hunt, I'm going to have some clues, and we're going to find some items that help us address the clues. So we'll move on to our first clue.
Oh, yes, we can do that. There we go. Clue number 1.
So pirates can get hungry in an emergency. Can you find something they could eat? We can either go find some items, and that'll help us assemble an emergency kit to have at home, or we can just put the items in the chat too so we can see what other people might be thinking about. We'll put a 45-second countdown on each clue here, so that'll give you a little bit of time.
We have somebody that says a can of beans. We have tuna in packets, protein bars, and dried fruit. Boiling water and catch some fish and eat them. Canned food, Spam, bottled water, MREs, cans of veggies, can of corn.
So I love
Awesome.
MREs,
and I love that we included the can opener too for the food. That's really important that we have a way that we can utilize what we brought with us. So yeah, we're looking to have any sort of food. And again, we want to make sure that when we're on the go, such as in our vehicles or in cars, we've got enough food to last 72 hours. Otherwise, at home or where we live, we want to make sure that we are working towards building a month worth of food reserves to have in case of emergencies. Awesome. I'm seeing some granola bars too. Those are actually one of my favorite kinds of granola bars. So we'll move on to clue number 2.
Great. And before I flip to clue number 2, I wanted to comment on the MREs again. So those that are not familiar with that, They are the military's meals ready to eat. And so if you have any military folks in your family, those are so great to throw in your car, to have in your emergency kit. And they last a long time and have a high calorie count.
So our pirates do live up here near the boundary waters, and so it does get cold at night. Can you find something that might help them stay warm?
Oh, we're having sleeping bags and blankets, sweaters. Some more blankets, jackets, hat and mittens. Could use those today too. Those little hot packs for your hands. Hand warmers, okay. Little buddy heater, if you have electricity, I hope.
And
Fire starters.
does the little buddy heater, Sam, does that run on propane? Tell us a little more about the little buddy
Yeah,
heater and needing to be concerned about ventilation as well with that.
it's propane, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of great ideas there, and just something to think about is, at least for me, I always would rather be much warmer than very cold. It's a lot easier to cool down than it is to heat up, especially when it gets cold. So all of the things that I've been seeing in the chat are really great ideas and can also be used for a variety of things, such as the sweater can also be used as a change of clothes. We'll move on to clue number 3. Pirates can get thirsty. Can you find something that they might be able to keep some water in?
We have plastic bottles, thermos. They might need to boil salt water. Since they're pirates, an empty rum jug, you said. Empty cleaned out milk jug, a barrel, a bottle, a cooler.
Awesome. So all of these are great ideas. I'm just going to talk quickly about the bathtub sink and bowls. Just making sure that our water is either already potable, meaning that it's safe to drink, or otherwise having an item in our kit. Personally, I keep a product called MicroPure. It's tablets that help purify water in the event that it's not safe to drink just right out of the tap. Otherwise, I'm seeing a lot of great ideas here. We've got anything from bottles to buckets to barrels. One other thing I would think about is Ziploc bags can be used for a variety of things and also can hold water if you need it. So just another thing that we can use there. We can move on to clue number 4.
Well, and Camden, I was thinking to this question, clue 3 referred to drinkable water, but there are times when the water is obviously not running in our house and we still may want to be able to flush the toilet. And so perhaps being able to use some of that water in the bathtub to fill the toilet tank so we can flush is also a good idea. All right, let's go to clue 4. Oops, I went to 5. There's 4.
Just like us, pirates also wear masks to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Can you find a mask that we can put in our emergency bag?
When we can give bonus points, not that we're giving points, but anyone that wants to share their mask with their video, that'd be great.
And we have people saying, yes, they could do that. They can provide a mask.
We've got use the flag and the sail for a mask, certainly an alternative if we don't have a classic one available. Sounds like the Peterson family has a large stock of them around. Awesome. That sounds great. Just again, something to keep in mind, a lot of shelters have been requiring the use of masks as we've looked at our past emergency season. The various authorities that are running the shelters do work to provide them. However, you can help keep your community's resources available longer if you can provide your own as well. We'll move on to the fifth and final clue. Pirates work as a team in emergencies, but they always make sure to have a plan. Can you find your family's emergency plan? And if you don't have one yet, we're going to work through some strategies and some resources that are available to help you build one. So perhaps this is an item that you'll be able to add after tonight's webinar as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Camden. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Yes, awesome job. Awesome job. So be sure to be putting any questions or thoughts that you have in the chat. And now I'm going to pass it on to Carrie, who's going to be covering this next section.
All right. Well, thank you, Sara. Can we hear me? Okay. All right. You know, preparedness is important to the resiliency of any community. While you sharpened your skills tonight on being prepared for some disaster topics and areas, can you think of ways that you might want to share this information out with others? Maybe there's just other family members that you want to share with, but maybe that's a broader community like your church, your school, or your community clubs that you might be involved in. You know, we really encourage youth and adults to work together to support preparedness in their communities. And community service projects are often parts of school, parts of 4-H clubs, church groups, and community groups. And so we have a few resources we wanted to share with you tonight. The Minnesota 4-H State Ambassadors are launching actually a service campaign for the month of April. And we'll put their link to a document they have out in the chat box. But in that, they talk about 4 different types of service. You know, there's direct service where you might actually do something that benefits people directly, such as tutoring. Maybe it's providing resources, providing the family plan, communication plan documents out to people. Then there's ideas of doing indirect service. That's where you provide an active service, but you don't directly work with those who may benefit. So you might be helping provide supplies for emergency kits that people might go and pick up, but you don't actually work with those people. Or you might help a group or a facility come up with a plan of what to do in a disaster. Then other types of service include advocacy. That's where you inform the community about needs. So maybe there's some PSAs or news articles that you'd want to write. And then research is when you gather information just to benefit a whole community or a public interest. And so if you want to explore some of those ideas a little bit more, I encourage you to do that. And just remember, you know, service projects could range from, you know, talking to your neighbor, talking to your other family members, or even hosting a booth at an event to distribute supplies. All right, we're also going to look at some other resources available, both for you and others. Let's see, so if we go to the next slide, there we go. Our webinar resources, we do have a document that you'll get in the post-webinar that gives you some different resources. And one of them that we wanted to point out is this family communication plan. You can get it both as a full page document or as a foldable card that you can put, you know, really handily in your purse or in your, I have one in my glove compartment of my car there. That's what we call that little drawer. This is an important place to record information about your family and how to communicate with each other. If you're not all together when a disaster hits, or even if you are, so that when you've left your house, you know where information is and you know different information that'll be important, especially around finances and health. And you can find these items at ready.gov as well, but there'll be a direct link in that post-webinar resource document. And then on our next one, you know, if you decide to further preparedness efforts in your community, there's many things for you to consider. You know, there's a youth preparedness program implementation guidebook and a checklist that we've included on that resource document. And here's one of the direct links. So wait, I should have made it a Z link. I apologize for that, but you'll get it in the document, or if you go to ready.gov, you'll be able to find it there as well. But one of the most important things when you do think about looking at your community is figuring out what are the disaster, what are the risks that my community faces, or the group of people that I live with, that I work with, that I'm sharing this information with might face with. And then from there, identify what are your short and long-term goals, and how will you go forward and help the community know about those risks and hazards. Maybe there's oftentimes community partners in your community that are tasked with doing emergency preparedness. And so there's an awesome checklist on this implementation guide that I'd encourage you to check out. Also, we mentioned a little bit earlier, but there are a variety of free educational resources for all types of age groups. They're all different age groups available at that ready.gov. And so I'll encourage you to go there as well. If you decide you want to launch a whole big program, there are curriculum that have different activities all lined out already for a variety of age appropriate activities for both youth and adults. And so some of those include the Student Tools for Emergency Planning, or kind of known as STEP. There's also a Teens CERT program. It's Teens Community Emergency Response Teams. And then there's 911 for Kids and the Red Cross, as well as FEMA and Eden have a variety of resources that you could access. All right, I will turn it over to you, Sara.
There we go. I had to find my mute button. Thank you for sharing those resources, Carrie. And so we encourage you to not only share and discuss this information within your family, but if you have an opportunity to share it with your broader community, definitely do that. Carrie had mentioned perhaps your place of worship, or a youth group, or with extended family. Definitely check those things out. And we just cannot say enough about the ready.gov website and all of the resources that are available there. Camden, did you want to highlight any resources? I know the Pedro resource is one of FEMA's most popular.
Yeah, I'd just like to throw out there that, again, those are free, and they're also, for the most part, available in both English, Spanish, traditional and simplified Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean as well. So we really are trying to reach a broad audience there. Anyone can order them, and we'll ship them free to your house.
And can folks order just one copy, or can they get those in bulk if they wanted to share them, for example, with their 4-H group or their Boy Scout or Girl Scout group?
We do have some limits that are in place, and the system may reject your order. If that happens, feel free just to send me an email, and I'll work with the person that works with the government publishing office in your area, and we can work to identify a way to get around that.
Excellent, excellent. Can you speak about the Pedro resource and just describe that one a little bit?
Yeah, so the program that is being talked about is Prepare with Pedro. It's a program that FEMA and the American Red Cross work together to develop. It's meant for kids aged kindergarten through 2nd grade, and it's an all-encompassing preparedness workbook that uses activities to kind of bring preparedness as more of a forward thought when we're entering environments, in different ways that we can prepare for disasters. On top of that, it does feature a lot of fun activities and pages that both engage your family as well as the children who are directly participating with the workbook.
Great, thank you, Camden. Well, now is your opportunity to ask any questions. What thoughts, ideas do you have? Both questions and maybe some plans that you might be thinking about taking. I know Lacey had commented in the chat about grabbing important stuff and running to the basement. I'm guessing if there were a tornado. And so I did share in the chat a link to an extension resource, which is called Organize a Grab and Go file. And we've had webinars in the past on this, and we will probably have some this next fall again, but pulling together all of those important papers. So if you do have to evacuate or leave quickly, you would have all of that information, which would be really important and would be extremely helpful during the response and recovery process. So we have a question here. In an emergency, would keeping canned food over 6 months be okay? I am going to say yes. I think Camden had shared that the 6-month was kind of a general sort of thing if things don't have a date, but check the date on it. And oftentimes it's the quality that is impacted as opposed to the safety of it. So definitely. And if you are home canning foods, I know our my health and nutrition educators would be able to share how long those items are good as well. But we also need to be careful if things get covered with flood water and other things too with that. So great question there. All right. I am going to move to the next slide, but continue to put any questions or thoughts in the chat. This was the final webinar in a disaster preparedness series. One of the webinars was on organizing those important papers. We did one with some partners from the Department of Commerce on insurance. We did one on preparing your finances. Lori, I know I think I'm missing one additional one, but there were 5 in this series. And so we would ask for your assistance in completing just a really short evaluation to let us know what your thoughts are about today's webinar, but also to give us ideas on future webinar topics, whether they're disaster related or any other topic, whether it's financial management or family communication, or Carrie works in our youth development area. So pretty much give us recommendations and we can see if we can meet those needs. No promises, but we'll do our best. So if you can take a few minutes and complete that evaluation. Lori also alluded to earlier that you will be getting a follow-up email within a couple days, 2, 3, 4 days. There will be a link to this recording. In addition, we will provide a PDF copy of the PowerPoint slides, as well as links to any of the resources. The resources that Carrie reviewed, we will have in a document, and so you will get all of those. Plus, we'll include the link to the evaluation again. So be watching for that email. And then also know within a few months, we'll be sending a follow-up email. We'll be asking questions about what did you do? Did you develop a family plan? Did you pull together a family disaster preparedness kit? So this evening was just about sharing information, but you all have the hard work coming, or maybe it's the fun part, working as a family to make that plan and develop that kit. For those of you that indicated you were participating for both professional and personal use, and those of you that are also participating for personal use, if you would like a certificate of participation for tonight, go ahead and send me an email. And my email will also be in the follow-up email that you will be receiving, but I'm going to put that in the chat as well. There we go. If I spell my email correctly, just go ahead and send me an email and tell me that you need a certificate, and we will get those sent out. We do have some upcoming webinars, and we're just pulling together our flyer and our promotion for this. And so I shared this was part of a disaster preparedness series, but this spring we are having a financial parenting series. So those of you that are parents and want to work with your children on finances, definitely plan on jumping on one of these 5: financial parenting and youth financial well-being, once upon a time, using children's books to teach financial capability. The next one looks at overindulgence and what does that mean in our culture, and what can we do about that? The Money in Motion is to help parents and providers look at strategies for kids to discover how money works. And then the last one there in this series is I'm an Adult, Now What? So planning personal finance and housing. So moving out, right, and getting their first place. Then some of our health and nutrition educators are looking at feeding your child. And so we can look at first foods, then the choosy eaters, having those 6 to 12-year-olds helping in the kitchen, exploring new choices. and then on their own, how you can help launch and prepare those young adults. Some of our Latino colleagues are offering some personal finance webinars in Spanish, and there are 6 of those listed there. And then at the bottom, we have a couple standalone webinars that just didn't fit into any of our series. And one is titled Keep On Keeping On, Families Adapting to Change. And we know that in the last year, we have all had to manage and adapt to change. And so that one will be really good. And then we have another one about practicing healthy communication, so you can check that out. Then we have something new that we're going to be trying. We're going to do a book read, similar to a book club. We want to call it a club, but we're going to be reading The Richest Man in Babylon. And so watch for information. There's this big URL down here at the bottom with FD webinars. You can go there and find all of these webinars to register for. All right, definitely check us out. Engage with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube. So we invite you to connect with us. Thank you everyone for participating. Camden, Carrie, Lori, any final comments from any of you? I see Lori is shaking her head no. Camden?
Just as Sara said, all of our contact information is located on that first page. So if there's anything that we can help you with in terms of building a plan, or if you had any follow-up questions afterwards, speaking at least for me, feel free to reach out to me at that email, and I can do what I can to try and either connect you with the best resource or provide some advice.
And likewise, Sara, if there's anyone that's working with a 4-H club and wants to do, build out a service learning or service community pride project, certainly reach out to me. I can help you try to make sure you have all your components and think through all the opportunities you might have with that.
Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Have a great evening. We will hang around for just a few more minutes. So if you want to chat a little bit with us, definitely we welcome that.